Bum, bum, bum. And that'll finish off the storybook side quest. Kieran Abbey. And please, let's try to behave ourselves and not get thrown out of the library this time. It'd be a good idea. Jack needs to control himself. Bum bum bum. Last chapter. Chapter 9, at the end of Corrupted Power. So this is a holy king. I was overpowered by his dignity. You heard from Kaineruda, didn't you? I'm planning to sacrifice your body to perform the Passover after I watched this playthrough of Luigi's Adventure. Silently, I raised Kaineruda's sword. Father, please stop! Lori's scream tore between the king and I. The holy king glanced indifferently at Lori, who was staggering close to him. The people must fear the god, which means they must fear the holy king. He who is the highest priest who may or may not be West Ham Sandwich. Don't let your personal feelings interfere. Even though... The king glared coldly at Lori, who refused to back down. Even though what, Lori? His voice was as cold as his glare. I'm disappointed in you, Lori. I thought that by becoming a rule keeper, it would make you stronger than this. Father! With trembling lips, Lori bowed her head. Leave us. I can't even look at you right now. You couldn't even finish World 2 of Luigi's Adventure. Pathetic. Besides, obviously you don't have the stomach to watch this man die. Father, I will not leave. I have sworn to protect him. The king's face contorted with fury. Do you mean, then, to fight with me? Lori met his gaze proudly and nodded. No, you don't have to do this. My frustration made it a shout, but Lori just smiled at me. I gripped my sword tightly and faced the king. Tension filled the air. He drew a crest with unbelievable speed. I won't let you! I raised my long sword over my head and jumped at him. His spell was broken, but his staff parried. My strike faster than I thought possible. He was even faster than Newfie. He hurled me aside with a mere wave of his staff. He drew another crest in the air. I am vastly outclassed. Cold sweat ran over my back. Though I heard Lori's chant, I couldn't expect her magic to be faster than the king's. I can't beat him in a straight-up fight, but he doesn't know I'm not affected by magic. Body tense, I await the proper moment. His finger closed the graph. I think I just heard some lightning, so there's probably a big discussion going on right now. White light blazed out at Lori. I drew a breath. This was it. Please let this work. Screaming a battle cry, I threw myself into the rapid stream of power. I expected, or rather I hoped it, would be listless, like when I caught Ayashi's power, but that was pure optimism. Violent pain flooded my senses. I collapsed onto the marble floor. I remembered that time I couldn't pass tubular on SMW. Gah! Ha! As if something leaked from a hole, the air was forced out from my lungs. In my flickering sight, I suddenly got a thirst for violence. Uh-oh. Heat billowed out from deep in my throat. In front of me, red mist bloomed. Well, what are we playing, GTA 5 now? Doing rampages? The pain was overwhelming like a rough stone grinding against my brain. Fool! You leapt right into my trap. One who does not truly accept the god cannot stand against me, much less save your precious Lori. I was seeing double. 2 holy kings now. Father! Lori's voice was almost toneless. I had been trying to be strong, as you said is suitable for a governor. And? The king gestured dismissively at Lori, but his voice held interest. Your strength is just heartless. The real strength of a governor must not be such a thing. The king folded his arms and looked at her. Lori, to deny me is rebellion. I could not hear Lori's response. I could only hear my frantic, thready heartbeat. But I did feel her anger blaze up. It was like that time she rage-quitted on Demo World. I prayed. I prayed not only for myself, but also for Ayashi and Etta. Most of all, I prayed for Lori. Lori's power struck an explosive sound. Through my eyelids, I could see the light. Without strong power behind you, you cannot preach justice. The Holy King shattered Lori's spell. Now I must kill you too. The king began to gather power. He expected to make everybody have a game over screen. It was much stronger than Lori's and chilled my very heart. Why would the gods allow such unfairness? I grew dizzy with pain and anger. The blazing spell echoed. I heard the sounds of people in the distance. The masses took this battle as a sign of Passover. Lori's breathing became weak. At this rate, she would... Was this the end? This is the end! No! If I say I believe in the power of gods, will you please answer me? Fading fast, I cried out for a miracle. But my shout just kept echoing in vain. Nobody. I was falling into despair, but even when I couldn't stop holding on to something, what a pathetic wretch I am. I'm even more pathetic than Vegastar when he quit Luigi's Adventure. Tears ran down upon my face, and pain blurred my vision. I can't die here. Lori must have gotten hurt badly trying to protect me. When I imagined her in such a state... Lori's moaning voice echoed. In this distance, it barely reached my ears. I think I hear thunder. I'm not sure if it's in the game or if it's outside. Huh. Anyway, I understand. It's because of the thread that binds us. I can't talk. Maybe it's the Luigi's Adventure thread. Lori, hold on. I called to her as strongly as I could. Kane. I could only just feel her surprise. In this place, we could only convey our thoughts weakly. It's me. I don't want you to die. I have to do something. I wiped my bloody mouth. No, don't move. Her scream came through clearly. It's okay, although I'm not okay at all, to be honest. I moved my fingers and touched the sword. I'll learn to read one day, maybe. Because my body temperature was lowered, the metal, surprisingly, was not cold. I opened my eyes. Whitish blue thunder burned down. Oh, there's a discussion. Lori waited for a chance, then unleashed thunder at the Holy King, who had light emanating from all fingers. Their abilities were obviously very different. When I moved my body, I could feel the broken ribs stabbing my organs. I started to crawl on the floor. He really sent me flying. I could see the Holy King's back a ways off. My blood flowed on the smooth floor and actually helped me move. Don't let him notice me. I sent with my mind. I'll try. The firm words came back. I pictured the firm set of her jaw, and I involuntarily exhaled a small laugh. The magic that the king released rumbled. More discussions. Certainly the king is strong, but did strength kill his own daughter? Impatience tried to claim me, so I focused on moving forward. I often try to do that. I was careful not to drop Kaineruta's sword and kept my eyes peeled. No discussions. Yeah, it's supposed to rain for like the next week or so here in Illinois, according to the weather. About here would be okay. I dropped my shaking knees to the floor. I needed Kaineruta's sword as a cane, just to stand myself up. Now, Lori! I released the thought like a prayer. While Lori finished her spell, the king formed a shield against her strike. Take this! I shouted, raising my sword over my head. I felt the insides of my body tearing. The Holy King turned around, surprised. I threw Kaineruta's sword at the king's forehead. I heard the sound of Kaineruta's sword cutting into flesh, shattering his half-finished protective shield. At the same time, Lori's magic struck. A thunderbolt pierced the sky, making a huge long discussion. Broke through the ceiling and shot the Holy King. You lose, Majesty. You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. But how? You have no Power? The king moaned and collapsed. Kane! Lori, her uniform in tatters, shouted and ran to me. Though I tried to smile, it was hard for me to even move my face. Lori hugged my bloody body. I'm so sorry. Warm tears fell on me. If I could cast a recovery spell... I shook my head while she kept crying. It's not your fault. So, don't die. The ray of sunshine that fell through the broken ceiling was dazzling. Suddenly, a shadow fell on us. What, are you giving up like Vegastar? That was Edda's voice. Lori! We got the dragon's heart! Edda and Ayashi floated in the air and landed on the ground lightly. If you use this, you can save Kane's life, can't you? Lori raised her face suddenly. We will help you, so don't worry, Ayashi said with confidence. Edda presented Lori the dragon's heart in a red blaze. The string that tied her hair slipped off and her blonde hair changed to black. She was a shaman, and the power of God came down, but yet she still couldn't get through World 4 in Luigi's Adventure. Ayashi gathered the power that Edda called, shaped and formed it, then poured it into the crest that Lori drew. Lori focused on the rapid stream of power, and even I could feel it, but she kept drawing the crest. I felt warmth like spring sunshine falling on my face. I could tell that I was healed. Their chanting stopped. Thank you, everyone. They smiled, their relief evident. Kane, what are you going to do now? Are you going to stay in our world? Are you finally going to play through a Kaizo Mario hack? Ayashi picked up where Edda left off. You are not against the rules of this period anymore. Lori spoke last, her voice gentle. Though this world has many problems, if you would like to do so, I will help you. That would be wonderful. Living in this world forever, I was dizzied by the thought of it. But I shook my head. Just to survive here, I sentenced the Holy King to death. I wouldn't be forgiven unless I returned to the time when I took that girl's life. I have to go back. There's something I must do. I must play the demo of Romeo's Adventure. What could be so important? As long as you are in contact with the god, you have a rightful reason to be here. Edda is right. Sir, please don't go. Ayashi grabbed my sleeve. But Lori, stepping forward, restrained them. Kane, if you wish, I will open the door of time. Are you sure, Lori? Lori nodded to Edda. Edda put her fists on her waist and shrugged. If it's what you want, then it's okay. Ayashi gazed at me and wiped her eyes. Sir, by the pride of the people of Pillar, I'll never forget what you've done for us. Thank you, both of you. I told Lori the time and place I needed. Lori nodded and covered the dragon's heart in her palms. When she reached for me, I whispered, This is not a goodbye. This is a promise to meet again. Lori nodded. I believe in the bonds between us. Her blue eyes met mine in a moment of perfect understanding. Oh, now I understand. This was what I was looking for. I finally found my SMRPG cartridge. Lori smiled. She looked so beautiful. After a moment that felt like eternity, we released our hands. I will start the ceremony. Kane, please stand there. On her pale cheek, a blush rose. The crest that she drew gradually became more complicated. This time, a roaring sound echoed closer. So that is the sound of time magic. Apparently she's a time mage. As I was covered by a floating feeling, the ending was the same as before. That almost sounded like Jack casted a fast draw. Lori's finger drew the ending glyphs and it reached to me. That power dropped me into darkness. I felt cold wind and opened my eyes to see cross-shaped stars above the trees. I came back. The sense of loss pervaded me, but I worked to quell it. It's not a time to be sentimental. I reached for my communication device. To confirm the date, I think he grabbed his cell phone. Then I noticed the girl standing between the trees. She looked at me. She had olive green hair and approached me without hesitation. I'm pretty sure she was Rydia. She took a blue crystal from her pocket. Do you remember the promise you made long ago? She had inherited Ayashi's looks. Understanding hit me like a lightning bolt. There's another discussion. I nodded somehow, despite my slack jaw. Good. She smiled innocently and casually handed me the dragon's heart. When I thanked her, she shyly smiled and disappeared into the woods again. Thankfully she didn't summon Bahamut. Truly the ways of destiny are mysterious. I took a deep breath and looked down upon the dragon's heart. I put my left hand on the crystal. I felt the inside of my body become hot and my mind began to spin. Then the familiar floating feeling. I think you're drunk. I closed my eyes and sought with my mind for the thread that bound me with Lori. I reached for her from this darkness like a vast deep sea. Suddenly, the dragon's heart started to shine blue and connected with a ray of light in the bright circle far above my head. Oh! I closed my eyes and muttered my gratitude. From behind the light, my name was called. When I go there, I can see Lori. I went up to the stream as my heart beat with confidence and expectation, but Lancer timed me out. What a jerk! The light was before my eyes already. When I got through the circle of light, suddenly my surroundings became bright. The first thing I saw was warm orange light. Next, colorful stained glass that cast colorful light on the plain wood floor. And the color of gentle blue eyes like the sea. I reached my hand and touched her soft warm cheek. We meet again. And that ends the story. Good times being had here in the Mushroom Kingdom. More news reports. So I think we're done now, aren't we? I don't know if it's true, but I heard there are books written about an ancient culture in the sealed library. It is kept deep within the library, and it's off-limits to general students. So I guess we don't get an X-File key for doing that? Oh well. Can't win them all, I guess. Sometimes you can't win any of them. Sometimes you gotta quit like Vegastar. That's just the way it is, man. Yeah. I believe I can hear thunder outside. I thought that was from the game, but I guess not. What do you know? Alright, so we're going to the second bonus dungeon. The Killing Stone Cave, which is right over here. You can do it as soon as you get the airplane, but I wouldn't recommend it because the enemies are pretty tough. So, that's kind of a thing. Can I land here, please? Dude, thank you. Freaking jerk. Bum bum bum. Killing Stone Cave.